Hey everybody, welcome back to the Airsoftology Q&A show that answers your questions, helps you in a pinch, and also has a question or two for you this week before we dive in. Also, real quick, I do have timestamps down below. So now the way YouTube does it, you can click on the bar down there and you can see the section. So if you want to jump ahead to something, you can just do it right now. Also, timestamps are in the description below, as well as any links I might mention. This is also your show, so remember to put your questions down below. I'll get them answered on a future show. But I do have a question for you first. I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2, and I know you're going, Jonathan, this is an Airsoft channel. Why are you saying that? But I, do this is kind of like a fun thing. It's one of the things I've enjoyed. I've been playing it for quite a while now, and I have a strong feeling it's got a pretty big community that many of you out there also play Destiny 2. So got me thinking about maybe we should play together. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Like, maybe I'll do a little bit of Twitch streaming. Maybe we can get like a Discord going. I can set one up for us, and maybe we can get a little clan going. I don't know. This is just a question out there for you. I'm more of a heavy casual player, because I've got a lot of work. I do this and a lot of stuff going on in my life, but I do have some time, and I was wondering if there's enough of you out there that are interested in doing this. Let's ask the question. Next week's show, I'll look at everybody's answers and then jump back in, and if we do have enough interest, I'll get things set up. Also, real quick, if you guys want to support the show, don't forget, I've got some patches in the web store. Let me see y'all like this. They do ship worldwide, and I've got that going. Now I'm doing tracking on shipments because some of the shipments are taking a little bit of time to get there, especially if you guys live in the States. I'm seeing at some point month lead times for some of you, and it sucks. I hate it so much. So now I'm actually changed up the shipping a little bit and doing just pass through the cost to you guys. I'm not adding any margin at all to put tracking numbers on everything that goes out, so you can actually see where things are, see where they're going, and if they've landed or anything like that. Also, when you go to the web store, make sure to click the link at the very top. It's like in a red banner to make sure that your country is one I can ship to. If not, I'm just going to hold that order for you until they unlock it. There's a lot of countries here in Taiwan I can't send to because we just don't have a way to get the mail there because there's no flights heading to that. But like North America, you're pretty good to go. Like US is no problem. I think Hawaii is the only state I can't ship to. That's the weird one. There's no flights to Hawaii, I guess. So they're not doing Hawaii. It's really odd. Like the other 49, no problem. So anyway, yeah, if you want to support the show, I've got a ton of stuff up there, like 16 different designs or whatever. And like I said, I will get those shipped within a day or two of you placing the order. I'm right on it, and I'm going to have tracking for everything. All that also does go to help support the channel, keep this channel free for you. So enough about all that. I'm curious to hear your answers on D2. If you want to maybe clan up, or I don't know, we'll figure it out. Just casually play. It doesn't matter. We can just hang out. And let me know in the comments below. I'm also looking forward to your questions, but as my screen goes off, I'm more interested about this week's questions in this week's Megastore mail call. Green Gaming's back and writes, hey John, I know that when you use a new spring in your AEG, it takes some shooting before it settles and the FPS drops a little. My question is though, if it's already settled and you remove the spring, does it unsettle? I've never had a spring unsettle, so I would definitely say in this case, no. So once it kind of breaks in, that initial break-in period, it's kind of a little bit of compression. And I know you physicists out there are going to be like, but Jonathan, if the spring will always rebound to the... Come on, guys and gals. This is piano wire we're talking about. That's what these things are made of. They're wound piano wire. They're not perfect. Even the best springs aren't perfect. There's going to be some settling, meaning it kind of gets in and finally loses a little bit of that rebound and maybe even shrinks a little bit by just staying under compression in a certain area. So it kind of just loses a little umph there at the end. That's where you're going to have a little power drop. So when you get a new spring installed, unless you're shooting for that 120 meters per second, that 400 feet per second or whatever, and you find that, oh man, I'm right over, I'm a little bit, just give it a little time. Give it a few days, let it settle, and I think you're going to hit the number. And that's what spring settling is. If you didn't know that, it's going to kind of basically, it's like killing off a few FPS. And you can speed it along, you can accelerate it in ways by locking your spring back, and that kind of kills the spring a little bit. There are ways to maybe drop some FPS, but you'll never recover that. Once you drop it, once it's settled, or once you've kind of left the spring compressed, like the piston's back and you're trying to kill the spring, maybe without having to do upgrades, maybe you don't have a quick change spring system and you want to drop it by maybe 5 or 10 feet per second for an event and your power level's over, you can do that, but it is a permanent fix. So it's not going to come back later on. Like when you're playing the game, you're like, haha, I chronoed under, now I'm chronoing over. It doesn't work that way. But yeah, that's pretty good. Once you get it settled, you're pretty much settled. Lord Shadow and Wolf writes, hey, love the show. Question. In a really old episode, you stated that dry firing your guns, especially CO2 gas blowback pistols, is extremely damaging to the gun. What should I do when the match ended and there's still gas or CO2 in my mags then? I used to dry fire them empty, but I love my gun and I don't want to damage it. So there's a couple ways to do this. One, if it's just between games, don't dump it. I mean, like, take the mag out, render the gun safety. You can clear the BB in the chamber. Sometimes you can hit with your pinky in there or whatever. Take the mag. Like I said, you're good. No problem. But if you're done for the day, the best way to clear it is to fire it. Not to dry fire it, but actually to fire it. Load BBs in that magazine and shoot it until you run out of gas. That is actually the best way, especially with CO2 guns. And this came from a long time ago, Elite Force talking about their warranty and best practices on keeping their 1911 TAC, that pistol they have, that's like the crazy wild seller in the United States, which is a KWC, I think, 1911 based, and it does it for them. And it is actually a good way to clear it and keep it maintained and healthy and safe. And they actually highly recommend doing that because otherwise you can cause damage to the gun. This is coming from the people at Elite Force, which is Humorex USA. So yes, I would just definitely do what I've been doing, especially since I've kind of been privy to that, is just put BBs in the mag, drain it. I know with CO2, sometimes you got to run a couple extra mags of BBs through it, but it's not a big deal. Also with CO2, and I know some of you will argue with me, if you know you're going to play like next weekend, it's okay to leave CO2 in the mag for about a week. I mean, I wouldn't worry about it long term, but I've done it and it's not that big of a deal as long as you're kind of lubing the seals through changes. Now, keep it out of a hot car, keep it out of like high temperatures, all those things. But yeah, it's okay to leave it if you know you're going to be playing later on in the week or next week. If you don't know when you're playing next time, if you don't know when you're going out, if you know it's like, oh, it's going to be like 2 or 3 weeks before I do it, I would definitely clear it and get that CO2 powerlet drained empty. But if it's just a week, you can usually kind of flub and be okay as long as you mind the temperature and things like that, and you'll be okay. Elijah Brown writes, hey, Jonathan, I know you've already did a video on submachine guns, but what would you say about using one in an outdoor field? So here is the amazing thing about Airsoft versus real world, right? So like, let's look at the real world, or even we can look at video games, right? And in the real world, you're using a submachine gun. It's a pistol caliber submachine gun, like a 9mm based pistol submachine gun, like let's say an MP5 or let's say an Evo or something along those lines. You're going to have distance disadvantage, lethality at range, things like that, and velocity of the round. There's a lot of things going on, right? And while you have less recoil and it's maybe a shared caliber with your sidearm and things like that, in the real world, there are losses too. There are negatives about range and distance and things. You're not going to have that. You can't engage at a huge range. Take all that and throw it away because it's airsoft. Now, not throw it all away, but to a point, you're not going to have to worry about that as much in airsoft because if you're shooting at the same feet per second and you've got a relatively long enough barrel so you're not sacrificing too much on accuracy or power or things like that, then you are just fine. You're not going to be at really that big of a disadvantage at all. It's kind of good. I mean, I ran Scorpion Evo Primary, the ASG one. One of the best gun. I mean, you pay for it. You totally pay for it. But really one of the best, like, small platform guns. Once you invest in all the magazines and things like that out there, it is really a solid one. And it will outrange or range a full-on M4 carbine. No problem. I mean, it's not going to outrange like a DMR or anything, but the hop up in it is so good. I mean, there's so many positive things I can say about that. I got one of the very early versions and kind of went through some of the revisions of it, and they have really set it to such a good gun. Same thing goes for like a lot of other SMG type guns. Gas blowbacks, of course, could act a little differently. I think you should be okay still with the gas blowback. I mean, gas blowbacks have positives and negatives of their own, but if you're talking about like electric guns, that's why I kind of go with the Evo, or you could use like the MP7 from Humorex. You could do guns like that. You're not going to really be at a huge disadvantage. In fact, the KWA TMP or KMP9, which is like the MP9 platform, is shoots so good. Barrel's like super short, but it shoots so straight and so far. It's a gas blowback. The MP7, the gas blowback MP7 shoots really good. So I think you're not going to be at a huge disadvantage using an SMG platform, even in outdoor field. You might have some range issues. Like you're going to have times where, yeah, that M4 next to you might be outranging you if you're using something like, let's say, that gas pullback MP7 or MP9 or something like that. But in the most part, you're not going to have a problem. If you're using like an MP5, you're set. And if you really want to crank it out, just throw a suppressor on the end, a mock suppressor, extend that barrel out and up the power a little bit. And you can maybe get that thing up to that 400 feet per second, like 120, if your field allows that for outdoor. Most outdoor fields do have a higher power level, around 400 feet per second, around 120 meters a second, and will allow you to effectively compete with any carbine style gun. Now, obviously DMRs and sniper rifles are going to outrange you, but you're not going to feel disadvantaged. So yeah, absolutely use it. That's what's so great about Airsoft is it's small platform. I've been switching to small guns lately just because they're lighter, smaller, like small M4s or like SMGs or 9mm platforms, because there's not a huge disadvantage. And there's so many benefits. Like, why would I want to run something big and huge like I used to? I mean, there are some positives in that, like LMGs and things like that. But given the choice between like a 14.5-inch barrel M4 and then like a little Scorpion Evo, I'm grabbing that Evo every time. All right, that's it for questions this week, which means it is now time for the Code Red Headset's video recommendation of the week, which as always comes from you, whether it be your recommendations of other channels or self-promoting. Remember, put them in the comment section below, just like your questions for next week's show. And if I didn't get you this week, please keep putting them down there every single week, including this one. I will do my best. I do remember what I see. So if I see something pop up multiple times, like, oh, hey, I need to really do them next show. So this one comes from JackOn72, and this is like a self-promoted one, right? And this is actually an interesting one and kind of ties back to my whole Destiny 2 question in the beginning. This guy is of course, he's already a YouTuber, obviously, but he's been a gaming YouTuber. He's been streaming and gaming. He's been playing a lot of DayZ. And if you look at his channel, he's actually got a large subscriber count on there for what I normally recommend as a startup YouTube channel. This one's like almost 42K at this time. But JackOn72 is doing this and has done it and has made the announcement on his channel and has jumped in head first. And he's in the deep end now. So he's going at, so I want to highlight his channel. He's got some gameplay going on here. I got it over my shoulder. He's got some old DayZ stuff, but I'm going to focus on the Airsoft stuff here. So if you guys want to help support a old new YouTuber in the Airsoft world, definitely check his channel out. I think he's got a lot of potential. He definitely knows how to edit, and I like how he does the graphics and the overlay and everything. I think once the play is caught up and all that, it's going to be an amazing channel. I love what he's doing with the graphics and stuff, and that's what really caught my attention on this, seeing someone who's doing something a little different than everybody else out there in the Airsoft world. So if you like what you see, definitely go over, check his channel out, mash the sub button over there, and then put a comment under the video. Let him know I sent you. All right, well, that's it for this week. Thank you so much as every single week joining me here. Well, it's been a little bit of a break. I know it took a couple weeks off. It's been kind of a lot of stuff going on in the world, but I am back full stream. I want to hear your comments on the D2 thing. If you guys want me doing Destiny 2 videos, not on this channel, I'll be doing like maybe some just hanging out and play, maybe some streaming on Twitch, maybe, I don't know. If that's something you're interested in, please let me know if that's something cool. And I can always wander in some other games. I mean, I know a lot of you guys are playing Call of Duty and things like that, but D2 is really kind of my passion right now. Also, don't forget to check out the web store. I got the patches in there like the John Wick dog, plus a whole bunch of others. I got like 14 other designs out there, including some whimsical, funny ones, some goofy ones, a lot of tactical dogs, things like that. All original designs. And of course, shipping worldwide, as long as Taiwan's shipping there right now. Just make sure to check on the website. There's like an obvious red pop-up that'll let you know if your country's one that we can ship to at this point or not. So anyway, until next week, I'm looking forward to seeing your questions and your recommendation of the week. But go out, play some Airsoft, social distance, wear a mask, but no matter what you do, call your freaking hits.